Sorry, I'm late. No, it's not okay. I'm sorry. Oh, you got it to work. That's cool. You got it. Hey, Jeff.
Damn it. Damn it.
I like a nice cold run, so it's good.
Oh. Our guest is Ryan Lowdermilk. My name is Jeff Fritz. Thanks so much for joining us. I forgot to unmute my mic again. Oh,
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I've been so good about that recently, and every now and again, this is live radio, ladies and gentlemen. So, Ryan, gosh, we ran into each other. We've known each other for a couple of years here, but I'm not sure if our friends watching on Twitch are familiar with you. Can you give a quick intro?
Yeah, I work at Microsoft. I'm a technology evangelist. I've been there for now 6 years. I've been coding since the age of 10, self-taught, like most people that I'm sure listen to you. Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to what we're working on today.
Yeah. So, so this started with a conversation we had on Twitter about a week ago,
Yeah.
and you were saying something about usability on Twitter. There was something you were looking for Twitter to be able to do. What was that again?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use Twitter like everybody else, like all the other normal people in the world. I believe it or not, I think I only follow like 28 people on Twitter, which I'm confident is not the way you're supposed to be using it. Um, but what I would like to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
is I like to be able to try to find new people to follow, but it's a long process in order to make my follower feed, right? I mean, I don't want to sound so exclusive, but I don't want people just all up in my feed. I use it different. Hanselman uses it different. He uses it as a fire hose, which I think is a good way to use it, where he just has, I think he follows like 800 plus people, and it's just a flow. I read all my tweets. So at any rate, I wanted to be able to look and basically be able to see Twitter how someone else sees Twitter. So for you, for example, I don't know how many people you follow off the top of my head.
I follow
Maybe
just over 1,000.
yeah, okay.
Mm,
So, yeah, there you go. So, I could then basically create a private Twitter list based on the people you follow. So, I could just hover over your name, say create a private list, and then I could see Twitter the way that you see Twitter. I know that sounds weird, but then I could ride that list for a couple of days and get a feel for the types of people and the news that I would actually want out of your feed, and then I would cherry pick those over to my Twitter feed.
so let me dig into that just a little bit and show you a little bit about how I use Twitter, and then maybe
Yeah,
we can flesh out a little bit about what it is that we want to build here today. So
brilliant.
I'm gonna change scenes over here to my desktop, and I like to use TweetDeck because right it gives me this, I mean, literally fire hose view of the
Mm,
world. Right,
yes,
I've got my home. Right, here's everything that's going on, and this is literally the fire hose on the left.
yes.
Notifications, people talking about me, retweeting, all that stuff. And then there's a
Mhm,
couple of users and lists that I have pinned here. So I'm really into the new Captain Marvel movie that's coming next year. I'm a comic book geek and I love the idea of this movie coming. So there's a user out there called Captain Marvel News, and I
mhm,
follow everything that Captain Marvel News tweets, not who Captain Marvel News follows.
mhm,
And then I've got a couple other lists that I have pinned here. A couple of folks who interact with Blizzard Entertainment, all the things that I like, all my liked tweets, and then I actually, because I manage a couple other accounts, I have that Ryan. I don't know if you know this, but I have a doppelganger named F Sharp Fritz on Twitter that's running
Yeah, I
around.
think I might have known that, but that's hilarious.
There's I He's out there. I don't get it. He's a little bit more functional than me. I'm more object oriented. Who knew?
Sure, sure.
So I've got his home link list pinned here. What it sounds like you want to do, just like I have F Sharp Fritz pinned here on the far right of my screen, we want to you want to be able to say, you know what? Show me what Jeff sees in his home list by
Yeah.
creating a private list and be able to have that column. So not only do you have that very focused list of things that you're interested in,
Mhm.
but then you can also take a peek into what's Jeff looking at today.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a great way to find new people because I must confess, like, I don't want somebody who's like tweeting a ton of volume. Like, I punt people like that. And that's just my personal opinion. That's not anything against how people are using Twitter. I just want it for news. And so there are good people out there who, if I can follow them, I wouldn't have known about it. But those are far and few between, I must confess. Like sometimes I have to, basically people say, hey, be whoever you want to be on Twitter, which is totally cool. I just hope that person is like extremely distilled, lucid, succinct, and very informative.
Yeah, sure. Right? There's Cruft. There's a whole bunch of folks out there that are just running their mouth about this, that, and the other thing. You see people with hundreds of thousands of tweets,
Yeah.
dozens a day. It's like, I
Yeah, it's totally cool. If that's how you want to act on Twitter, hey, go for it, man. Like inform the people of all the things. It's totally fine.
yeah, yeah. All right, so let's do this. Let's start peeling this back. Now, this is TweetDeck. Most people, as far as I know, they start at twitter.com. So if we go to just
Sure.
twitter.com, and I'm looking at, so here's my profile, but if I click into your name here,
Hmm.
right, so I get this screen, and then there's tweet to Ryan, and then here's the things that you've tweeted. I can see common followers that I know, photos, who you're following. 28 folks. Man, you really keep that succinct.
Right. Yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
Heidinger. Okay, cool. Uh,
Yeah.
the number of followers you have, blah, blah, blah. So, what it feels like would be cool to do, and thanks to our new followers that are chiming in there, looks like Andre and Juan, thanks so much. Um, what we could do using an add-on like GreaseMonkey, we could actually add like a create private list link somewhere over here, or maybe even over next to your name when I'm looking at the full list of tweets going on, right? And I've already got it hooked up a little bit with the test that I was doing. Be able
Yeah.
to click this and have it go off, mine some data from Twitter, and then go create that list.
That'd be brilliant.
All right, so let's start peeling back that that onion. So to get the create private list bit in here that you see, I actually I'm using Firefox here. There's other similar tools that you can get as extensions for the other browsers, but I went and grabbed the add-on called GreaseMonkey. Right, and GreaseMonkey's been around for a while.
Yeah, it has.
There's a bunch of other folks that have similar add-ons like this that allow you to write JavaScript that get injected into specific pages.
Yep.
So Dark Jeepers is asking, what's the criteria to make the Ryan Lowdermilk follower list? Well, you can't
I
be a
knew
loudmouth.
I knew that question was coming. Uh, I thought I did a decent job of describing, but yeah, there is no sort of application form approval process or background checks or anything like that. It is a very interesting question. I don't know that I could actually answer it. I know it when I want someone on my list, because I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have known about that. I don't know. Does anybody else read Tech Meme? That's my front page.
Okay.
So if it's on Tech Meme, if it's on Hacker News, both my browsers open to those. Yeah. So
Techmeme.com. Oh, yeah.
yeah, if it doesn't make Tech Meme, I don't read a ton of news. So it's like, I just want to have a little bit of a heartbeat. So it's either Tech Meme or Twitter, or Hacker News. If it's not on any of those, then I will have missed it. And so my Twitter followers are kind of important because then they keep me informed of what I otherwise might miss.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm seeing my bot is not responding the way I want it to right now. Let's restart
Oh,
that.
the bot in the chat room.
Yeah, let's restart. Cool. All right, so you need to be on Tech Meme now. For the folks in the chat room, the folks on YouTube watching later,
Oh,
I'm not on
I'm
the
sorry.
list.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean you needed to be on Tech Meme. I was just saying I use this as news as well. Sorry.
Sure,
Sorry to use
but I'm not on the list.
it.
Right. All right. Let's see here. Good morning, ThinkBot Labs, and yeah, everybody in the chat room who's been saying good morning. Why are we looking at Twitter? Nava Style says. Well, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to build these two pieces. We're going to build a little bit of a GreaseMonkey script that will allow us to add this create private list bit, and I've already started it. You can see I've got a link right here next to Ryan's name. Let me zoom in a little. And but I think we may want to move that. I'm not quite sure, but I'll show you how I started that. And then we're going to turn around and have this connect out to a service that'll actually do all the Twitter work for you, because you can't actually automate Twitter, it turns out, from JavaScript like this. There's something around trying to make sure that people aren't hijacking your Twitter interactivity that they want to try and prevent.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Oh my gosh, they've been so the folks at Twitter, in the wake of fake news and all of the concerns that we've seen in the U.S. around folks injecting content into social media that might be unexpected, right? And you see our friends at Facebook are really dealing with this. Twitter's making it much more intensive process to try and get access to the APIs and grant folks the ability to interact with those. So, if I still use Twitter, I'm a huge follower of tech news and science news, lots of tentacles reaching into many corners. I gave up Twitter because of the 100 plus folks I was following could not get through the updates flooding in
Yeah.
per hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It does I mean, to be able to use it like you use it or Scott use it, which I think how a majority of people use it, it does require some neural pathways to be created inside of your brain to be able to take information in like that. It's more of a heartbeat. Like when you look at yours, you get a feeling about Twitter, right? I
Oh
think that's
yeah,
fair to say, Jeff.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about TweetDeck is
Hmm.
I've got those curated areas in lists that I'm trying to focus on, and that feeling, what's going on the pulse is over here, and I'm not right. This is the fire hose. I don't look too far back in this at all.
Yeah.
The important
Yeah.
things I want to see, I've already got triaged in lists
Yeah.
that are, to your point, 30, 50 people
Mhm.
tops.
Mhm.
Tops, you know?
Mhm.
So, all right. So I've already installed the GreaseMonkey add-in for Firefox. There's a similar one for Chrome. They make the exact same add-on, and you can. These have become a little bit more of a generic thing called user scripts. So I went to the GreaseMonkey. That's going to sound weird from my mouth for a while here. I went to the GreaseMonkey homepage,
All right.
and there's a whole bunch of things here around. Right here's the official homepage. There's other user scripts out there that you can download for all kinds of websites, not
Mm.
just. Yeah, no, that's where I wanted to be, right? Under this Greasy Fork website. So let me just take you on a quick tour, right?
Mhm.
These are all the user script managers that you can get. So there's Tamper Monkey that you can also get, Violent Monkey,
That's
whatever.
awesome. That's an awesome name.
They all use pretty much the same syntax, is what it turns out. And I did a quick search here for twitter.com to see if there was anything that kind of fit what we're looking at. Because when you build these scripts, you attach it to a URL. You say, you know what, this only applies when we're looking at pages at this site, because those are the pages I want to hack. I want to be able to update, do some fun things with. So there's all kinds of things in here. Remove stuff from Twitter like following and followers, retweets and like count, mute people,
Mhm.
IMDb share vote, remove the who to follow folks, right?
Mm.
All kinds of stuff. But all these are really doing is manipulating CSS or adding a button that just navigates you somewhere else. They're not actually doing much. Twitter t.co link, go to help. That's nice. That's exactly what I would want to name my product.
Mm.
But you get the point here. Um, so I started digging into this to figure out, well, how do these pieces fit together? And I actually grabbed one I grabbed the Twitter original image, and I clicked install this script. Now it does, because I'm installing from this location where it's out there somewhere, I'm actually going to install this in a disabled state and open the editor because I don't want it to actually attach to anything. But it tells you this is only going to run when you navigate to twitter.com. So I install, and you see there's all this metadata up at the top. Let me zoom in a little, make that easier for our friends to read. And I mean, some of this is kind of like that flag data you used to put at the top of every one of your code files.
Sure.
But the important thing here is this include, right? This is where it's saying this is the page that I'm attaching to. And good morning, Steve. Our friend Steve is busy greeting folks. Um, and there's, right, you can specify what browsers it's compatible with, all kinds of stuff. Really, the big one that I'm concerned about is this. And then it's really just attaching and saying, go find these locations. And
Mhm.
you see it goes and finds, it replaces the links with different pointers, right? It
Mm.
even does a regex here to say, well, go find the Twitter images and replace them
Mhm.
with a link to the original image. So I know how to do this, right? As web developers, we know how to write this JavaScript. This is easy to do. So I started spelunking through the Twitter DOM, right? The document object model.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I want, like we were talking about, I want to attach that create private list next to someone. So using the inspector here in Firefox, I just moused over something like, this area right here,
Mhm.
and you can see exactly where that is in the DOM. It's this anchor element right here. Now, I don't really care about that. That's the anchor element I'm creating.
Mhm.
What I care about is if I can find that time element. So if I go to that time and say, well, add something right after it that's going to be my anchor, all right? Let me see. I think I can zoom in just a little bit there. So create an anchor after that, and I just put bing.com here, and that's hard for folks to see because it's on the side. Let me move this dock to side.
So Jeff, there's a question in the chat room
Fire away.
about what if someone, what stops someone from running a script that does something bad? Perhaps maybe a little bit of clarification on how these scripts work maybe might be
Sure.
helpful.
So you have to completely opt into this, right? You had to install the extension, the GreaseMonkey extension. When you downloaded that script, you can say, well, make this thing disabled to start. Don't enable it. And then you can actually review the source code and ensure that it's not doing anything bad here. And you can see
Yeah.
all this is doing is replacing links. So that's your level of protection. There is no, right, at the point that you're downloading these scripts, you're attaching things specifically to this website to do stuff.
Right. I think Jano's thinking um, for maybe the people running the servers, for the folks running at Twitter, what would cause somebody to use GreaseMonkey nefariously against Twitter? And I think that the point there, as you made, is, Jano, all of these are ran on client side stuff. So it's whatever you could point and click, use your keyboard on Twitter. That's what you're going to be able to simulate with GreaseMonkey. So that you can't write a worm or anything with GreaseMonkey and attack a website or anything like that.
Very good point. Yeah, yeah. If I go over to my console here, right? So there's that time, right? Remember, you can always in every browser do something like, right, document get element by class name, time, right,
Yeah.
style, background color equals blue. Right? You can always do stuff like that, and I don't have it. I don't have it set up right. Um, I would have to do a for each on that.
hmm
Let's just say the first one. There it goes, and I made it blue. Right. All that we're doing with GreaseMonkey is we're taking all of those types of scripts that you could be running in your console and putting them somewhere and saying, run this every time I navigate to a web page in this domain. Is there a site which reviews scripts, calls out bad scripts? So that's what this Greasy Fork website, it's serving as a repository. I don't know how much of a review they do. Right? What's it say under help? How to
Well,
install?
I imagine it only takes one time for someone to install something, it does something bad, and someone to report it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How they will rewrite posted scripts, report issue or post idea, contact someone. So there's definitely a way to report and contact them and say things are bad here. But it looks very self-policing.
hmm
So this is all we're going to do is inspect the DOM and inject content appropriately. So, um, so I know exactly where that time element is, and all I'm doing in my script. So if I pull down, you see the little monkey icon. I already started a script here called Jeff Test, and I did that by clicking New User Script. And I can click Edit on this, and here's the code that I started writing. So named Jeff Test, and that's the same name that appears here inside of GreaseMonkey. And I'm saying only include pages on twitter.com. Now, if I wanted to attach this only to the profile pages, right, I would have to reformat that. But
hmm
right now, I would have to, reformat that query, this include.
Okay.
But right now, I'm just saying go to everything that's out there. Not TweetDeck. I don't want TweetDeck. There's way too much going on there. So I wrote three little functions, and I kick it off by calling this method down here at the bottom, add links, and it's hiding behind my head there. But it's the top function that you see. So I go find the time element because I know I want to put my link right after the time because that's the last thing that you see in the standard Twitter view. And then I'm just going over all of those time elements and saying add link to the account. Now, add link to the account is this next block down here. Let me see if I can scoot this over so it's easier for folks to see. So this add link to account is saying we'll create an anchor element get the Twitter account from our time element that we're looking at. So I'm walking up to the parent, down to that anchor element that is your name. And I'm saying, okay, let's grab the href off of it, which is, right, that's your account. And I'm returning that. I'm chopping the slash off the front. And for right now, I'm just having it put an href on that anchor that says go to bing.com whatever, right? The text is create private list, and then insert that as a sibling to that time element. And that's how I've gotten to this point where I have create private list, and it points to whatever, right? So there's TechCrunch, and you can see right next to me here, it's going to bing.com TechCrunch. That's really small, but trust me, that's what it says.
Yeah.
My concern is a big script with just one small line that can pass a skim through that loads an external JS. These are all opt-in things. This isn't something that's being installed on everybody, so this is very much buyer be warned, and this is why this approach that we're looking at here isn't something that's standard that everybody goes and does all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, Jenna makes a good point. I mean, to your point, this could be, again, buyer, like you said, be warned.
Yeah, right. There's absolutely the ability to inject code here that hijacks passwords, that tracks what you're typing and sends it off somewhere else. There are a ton of attack vectors in here. This could be a security issue. That's why folks install stuff disabled, and right, other stuff that's shared out there, people will inspect and report on. We're clearly only modifying a link. We're inserting a link that's going to take us to an ASP.NET Core website that we need to write.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, Jeff, as you just said, we're simply using this as a UI shim, right? We need to put something on the UI. This is one way to do that.
Oh yeah. So let's dig in. So right now I just have it going to Bing. We need to write an application now that'll actually do that piece of taking the Twitter account that we pass in and mine that list of followers, create a list for you, and then add those followers onto that. So that's where a little bit more of the work is going to take place here. So let's wander over. I'm going to open Visual Studio and start a new project.
I like how you said a little bit of the work. This is the part that would probably take me a few days to figure out. But that's why I have you.
So that's right. There we go. So I'm going to do a file new. I'm going to create a new project. And I'm going to create an ASP.NET Core web application. And let's call this Twitter follower lists. Sure. That sounds good.
The biggest decision you make in any project, let's be honest.
Oh my gosh.
The naming. Or going to register the domain before you have anything yet.
Ain't it the truth?
Yes.
I'm going to give it a slightly different name, web.web, compared to the solution, right? So what I can do so that I'll end up keeping all of my data in the same place is I'll end up putting that script that I wrote in GreaseMonkey. I'll extract it and put it in with this so I can commit and save them together.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Glad I thought of that myself. There we go. All right. Oh gosh, you can't hear the sound. Let me make sure I'm sharing sound with you.
Oh, okay.
Screen sharing options. No.
I was able to hear you just fine.
The system sound where I've got.
Oh yeah, right. The alarms and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not sharing it.
You don't have to share those with me.
No. Oh my gosh, I don't. We got a cheer from C. Donlin, 100 bits. Thanks so much. DJ Nonlinear Forever. Is that you?
So that is very unfortunate right there that just happened. That's a teammate of mine, Jeff, who works here at Microsoft. And yes, as Chris is alluding to there, I used to DJ. There's a story behind this, but let's just be happy about the money that's flashing there or whatever that is, a gym or Let's
The
actually focus more on that, I think.
So that's 100 bits. Well, what I do with bits and subscriptions that folks drop here on the channel, I match them and we make a donation to Girl Develop It,
There
so
you
that
go.
women, girls, underserved minorities get an opportunity to learn how to code, just like we're doing here. So
Well, that's great. So great job, Chris Donlin at Microsoft for
yeah,
doing
thank
that.
you. So I've got a simple application. It's already got some identity stuff laid out. I want to force you to be logged in with a Twitter account, not with anything else. That Twitter is the only account that I want to support. I don't want you to
Yeah.
be able to log in with anything because I'm interacting with Twitter, so it only makes sense to have people use Twitter with this website. So I'm actually going to go back over to my browser and I'm going to navigate to dev.twitter.com. That's not how you spell dev, twitter.com. Dev.twitter.com, which reroutes to developer.twitter.com.
Yeah.
And I've already registered, I already have a developer account, and I've already allocated an application for this. And you can see it here called Friend Lists.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I'll click into details here, and I can set an icon, I can set different URLs for things. But the idea is I've already gone through the approval process with Twitter. I've already submitted, I've already gotten the information that I need in order to hook my ASP.NET Core site. I've already gotten them the information about what it is that we're building. What I need to do now is I need to set up the callback URL, because right now I just gave it a bogus URL that doesn't really exist yet. Friendlist.jeffreyfritz.com, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For the purposes of testing, though, and before we deploy, I need to actually make this like localhost. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I need to set up a dev environment. So I'm going to do this, set up a development environment, and dev environment label, dev. And I'm going to point to friend lists and complete setup. Now it's allocating space for this, and I have for 30 days this little sandbox where I can bounce around and send requests off of it without really being impacted. I'm going to click through to here, and I should now be able to change that callback URL. I want to change it to localhost
Oh, that's smart.
because nope, it won't let me do it.
Okay.
That could be a problem. Let me change this back. Can I add another, and can I add localhost? Because it's really going to stink. No, it won't let me bounce off
So
of it.
would we have to deploy then if it's not localhost?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right, so and you also have to do this little bit of justification at the end. This app will help create a private list based on the friends of another Twitter account. This will allow you to view the Twitter stream as the other account.
Yeah.
So it's not. Let's see what's under. Okay, so I need to be able to set up some permissions here as well. I'm not going to send direct messages. I do want to be able to read and write because I'm going to actually create that list for somebody. So I need to put that in place. And Grok. What about modifying your host file to point to the domain? Yeah, that'll work. We can use that to kind of work around this. So there's my keys that I'm going to use for this application. So to make sure that these aren't used by anybody, I'm going to go back over to this 2-up screen, regenerate, so I get brand new keys placed out there so that none of our friends who are watching have access to this.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I've been
They
burned.
can see your Philadelphia Eagles hat, which I think is important.
It's very important. That's a champion's hat. I don't know. You're in Texas, aren't you? There's a thing there.
Yeah, between the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I like the Eagles. I'm very happy for the Eagles.
Let me.
Long time coming.
My father is just over. He's 68, and he hasn't seen the Eagles win a championship since he was 12 years old.
Wow.
Literally the same age as my youngest daughter.
Wow.
So, right, it's like, and of course, right, we're young guys.
I like to
We
think of myself as young, sure.
we haven't seen them win a championship either.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was cool. It was very, especially against the team that that beat. So
Oh my gosh, yes,
very happy to see that. And I'm
against the
sure now the
Patriots.
channel may not enjoy what I just said. Maybe there's some fans out there, but
Let's see. Andrew says, "Can you try 127.0.0.1 instead of localhost?"
that's actually worth a try. Wonder
Sure.
see.
Let's see what happens. So I
Yeah,
will replace this 127.0.0 missing a zero.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that
fine.
one worked.
Did it really?
Look at that. Look at that. All right. Now we're cooking with heat.
Do Jeff, do we want the S or do we want to just roll with no S, no SSL?
Great question. So one of the new features that came with ASP.NET Core 2.1 is that it's got HTTPS baked in.
Oh, brilliant.
Because
Okay.
that's the new standard that Chrome and Firefox are starting to enforce, and they're telling you immediately if pages are not secure.
Hmm.
We want to make sure that folks who are using ASP.NET get that security right from the get-go, right from the point that you say file new project. In fact, if I open up my startup class here, so this is ASP.NET Core code, you can actually see right here, app use HTTPS redirection. It's forcing HTTPS on all of your requests right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So fantastic, right? One less thing that I need to think about changing when we deploy to Azure or somebody else's cloud or another hosting service. It's already there for us.
Love that. And Andre's saying in the chat that it creates a self-signed cert for local dev. Is that true?
Yeah, so check this out. I'm going to open my PowerShell. And if I go over to this folder, what did we call this? Twitter follower lists. And I'll go down into the website. So if I say, let's say .NET help, and it shows me all the different commands that we have. There is, right here, dev certs, create and manage development certificates. So when you
Brilliant.
install the .NET SDK, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux, it creates a certificate for you and attempts to install it in whatever operating system's local cache. It's self-signed, so you're going to get a little bit of an error coming out that says, "Oh, should I really trust this? This isn't signed by a root level authority, right?" It's not,
Right. Yep.
and it doesn't look entirely secure. However, the only application that's signed by it is what you're working on your own machine. So who cares? So
Sure.
you're using it, so you're in good shape.
Yeah, and that's been the way self-signed certs have been for a while. So
ThinkBot Labs says, I think that sites that don't house any personal information and or displaying info don't need SSL. Um, I used to think that way, but Ryan, our friend Troy Hunt.
mm.
Anytime I hear Troy Hunt's name or I see him posting on Twitter, I'm thinking, oh no, somebody's passwords got stolen. And
That
because
sounds like somebody I should follow.
so
Troy
Troy
Hunt, huh?
Troy runs haveibeenpwned.com, right? That's
Oh
that
wow.
really big website that aggregates
Yeah, yeah.
all of
Right.
the password leaks.
Yeah.
And so Troy knows his stuff around security. He's an MVP for Microsoft. Does a lot of work
Oh
around
yeah.
trying to make the internet more secure for folks. And Ashley's making a very good point here. Ashley Broughton in the chat room. Without SSL, anyone along the chain can inject content into the website. So
100%.
SSL, yeah, gives you that security from your browser to the server. Any one of those proxies in between, and there's lots of them, including my hosting, my ISP, and everybody that they use as internet service providers between me and, in this case, Twitter. If it's not an SSL connection, it could be decrypt. It could be have content injected in there. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So excuse me. You do need SSL for dev workflow, so you don't add plain text links and get issues along the way. That's a great point from Andre. Very good point.
Mm.
SSL is needed for service workers as well. Uh, yeah, good old ISPs were injecting ads a while back. So I don't know if you have this happen with you, Ryan. If I key in a web address that isn't correct, my
Hmm.
ISP instead of returning, you know, some sort of an error that says unable to find this domain, it actually goes to their search engine and shows me stuff that they think I was looking for. That's so nice of them.
Yeah, no, mine does that as well. I find it utterly unhelpful, but yeah, it is weird that they do that.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's why are you looking at what I'm searching for? It's
Right.
because it's not here what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's just a DNS sort of query, right? In other words, a DNS entry that came up blank, then they go ahead and they give you a, but not to confuse anybody on the channel that when I'm typing in my search, that's all over SSL and hopefully can't be seen. Fingers crossed.
Right, but if I'm in my browser, right,
Oh yeah, sure. If I
right,
type in a domain that doesn't work, yeah,
this domain
yeah,
doesn't dot exist.
yes,
Right,
yes,
this is the kind of thing that I want to appear, but
correct.
every now and again, Verizon will intercept and change
Yes.
this to something
I have the
else.
same thing. I just typed in a bunch of garbledygook.me, and yeah, you're absolutely right. I wanted to check, and it sends me to Frontier's web search. So,
Right,
and some
it's
folks say to get rid of that, you can change DNS, but I don't know. I can't be bothered. I don't care.
yeah. I do typically change DNS. I typically use the 8.8.8.8.
Yeah, isn't that Google's or no? Who's it that bought that? I forget who did the 888.
Um, um, Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's that.
it is Google. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it
1.1.1
is
is
Google,
Cloudflare.
and I'm forgetting about the people that recently, the same guys that do Cloudflare. I think they brought
Yeah,
up a
yeah.
public domain.
Ashley's saying in the Encryptrix are saying 1.1.1.1.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
Cloudflare owns that. I was trying to switch to them and thinking about doing that anyway.
Cool. So I'm going to go back over to my code. Now, the identity features that come with ASP.NET Core, you can add Twitter into it, but you need to make a little bit of changes here so it knows how to start and how to reference that. So I'm actually going to say add new scaffolded item, and there's identity scaffolding in here. So we actually, by default, Ryan, we put all of the things for your login page and all of the goo to manage that initial security inside of a DLL, inside of a NuGet package, so
Oh,
that
nice.
folks don't have to manage them every time inside their application. But inside of Visual Studio and at the command line, you can pull these things out so that you can override them and make whatever changes you need to configure your application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it with the normal layout, and I'm going to override the two-factor authentication, and I think that's the only one I want. Now I also need to specify my data context class, and that should be all that I need. And it should, if I remember correctly, generate a little startup file for me here so that I can actually go and configure all the identity stuff.
Great.
There we go. So I get a little README that says, make sure you have this set up, that you do these things. You need to configure your website to use static files. You need to actually tell it, use authentication. That's probably a good thing. And I've already got that configured. Add MVC and use MVC. So I'm in good shape. Inside of here, this is my identity hosting startup. There's actually a thing here that says run at hosting startup, and it will attach and do this configuration. Now, as part of this file is where I'm going to inject my Twitter configuration and say you need to log in and use Twitter as an authentication mechanism. Now, I could bounce out to the log file to the docs for this, but I'm going to cheat. We've been working on another project here on stream called Core Wiki. Now, Core Wiki is a little project that we've been writing that allows you to build your own wiki. And we've been slowly adding features to it. And one of the features that we built was, of course, security logging in with Twitter.
Hmm.
So I'm actually just going to steal the configuration for that. And it is, where is it? I need an auth builder. Services add authentication. It's going to be right here. So there we configured Microsoft, and there's configuring Twitter. So I'm just going to steal this code, and we'll talk about it when I get it pasted in here. So inside of ASP.NET Core, we have this builder configure services thing, and everything is kind of services that you stack and you add layers to.
Hmm.
So we're slowly adding the authentication capability, right? We're going to have authentication. We're going to create an authentication builder feature. And I'm actually going to remove this stuff for Microsoft login because I'm focused on the Twitter login. So if is null or empty, make sure that we have Twitter configuration somewhere. And then we're going to say add Twitter capabilities. And
Yeah.
here's where in our configuration you're going to find this capability. Now, I don't have an auth policy, so I don't need this. I believe I can just say add authorization. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to require people to be logged into Twitter in order to create their lists, right?
Smart.
So that way I can kind of force you when you get to the website, when you click that create private list, I'll bounce off of a Twitter authentication. You're already logged in because you were on Twitter, so it should
Mm.
come back right away. And after you answer that authorize app link that we all see when you use Twitter to log into somewhere else, but then I'll have your information so that we can go and start building and interacting with the API. AKR Commando says, what do you think about the free Cloudflare flexible SSL? It's it's pretty interesting to see that. The I ran into a problem with Cloudflare's SSL because there's a what it wants to do is it wants to take over your DNS. And I was trying to mix that with Azure, and it got really confusing quick for me. I kind of stopped there. It got very, very confusing for me trying to
What in
go
the
through the
world is
documents.
flexible SSL? Like, can someone explain that to me? I have no idea. I've never even heard of that.
So if I remember what it is correctly in chat room, correct me if I'm wrong. What Cloudflare lets you do is you can point to your website and you can direct Cloudflare to take over your DNS for that. So they take control over it. They establish their own SSL certificate that runs on their proxy servers.
Mm.
And
Oh, I see. I'm reading up on it now. Okay.
yeah,
Good gravy. Why would you want to do that?
it's and that's where I kind of ran into a little bit of an issue was I'm handing over all this control to Cloudflare, but at the same
Right.
time, I need to have DNS entries in Azure and on my naming provider, so that everybody's in line and talking to each other and in concert, so that Azure properly presents my custom URL, Cloudflare properly presents the SSL certificate, and my naming provider, right, my hosting provider that hosts my DNS isn't, upset, and the things that I need to do over there still work properly.
Mm.
It's a great CDN, a great content delivery network, but it got confusing quick. And I ran into situations where it took my website offline for a while because I also have a couple subdomains out there. So, if you go to live.jeffreyfritz.com, it takes you to a page all about my streams.
Mm-hmm.
But Cloudflare doesn't support that level of subdomain unless you buy paid subscriptions and stuff. And Ryan and I do everything on the cheap.
Hey, you and me both. Yeah, I guess they say, in fairness to Cloudflare, they're saying, hey, listen, only use this as a last ditch effort if you can't figure something out, because it essentially creates between the user and Cloudflare, it creates an encrypted connection. So therefore, the user goes, oh, this is an encrypted website. But from Cloudflare to the server, it's not encrypted, and that would be a bad deal. So, in fairness, like they said, use it only as a last resort if you cannot install an SSL cert on your actual server.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. So, Cloudflare also does DNS. They do, and that doesn't mean like I was saying, I would need to pay for an extra level so that I could do those
right.
second
Yeah.
level domains.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where I got a bit confused and I kind of backed off at that point and said, well, I need to make sure that I completely understand this.
Hmm.
So these configuration things that it's looking for, authentication, Twitter, this is actually a hierarchical configuration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach into my app settings JSON. This is our new configuration file that we use in ASP.NET Core.
Yep.
So it's very hierarchical. I would normally be adding, come on, things in this structure. So I would say authentication, and then I would create a group here, and then I would have Twitter, and I would have whatever my consumer key is. Actually, I need two of these. I would have consumer key, and then some value. And then the other one was consumer secret. And that needs to be some value. Now, I also need to end that and close this, and we're good. But I don't want to put this right here in my app settings JSON because I don't want this committed into uh, source control.
Yeah.
Janice is saying good opportunity for live share. No, we're not going to do any live sharing today. Ryan's our stakeholder. He's helping direct. He's helping a little bit with the chat room here. We're letting me drive this time.
What
Uh,
is live share? I'm sorry. What is that?
so live share. So you've used like Word Online or
Sure.
Google Docs, Excel Online, and when you navigate around, you see that little tape flag where people are
Yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
document.
Right.
Live share is the same thing for Visual Studio.
Ah, brilliant. Okay. Yeah, that's the new feature we launched. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So very cool. Great opportunity to collaborate.
Hmm.
Not something we really need for this session.
Yeah, no, this is great for me. I'm the stakeholder and I don't have to do any work and Jeff's doing it for me. So I don't
Yeah,
need to put my fingers on
yeah.
the keyboard.
Then we'll have to grab Trav later and ask him about
Right.
project management and how that
Yeah,
works.
exactly.
So what I'm going to do, instead of putting it here, I want to put this in my user secrets file so that it's secure, it's not committed into source control, and I can replace it easily when I get into my production space. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say manage user secrets. And this creates this secrets file over here that is extremely secret. It's just hidden in a different location on disk that doesn't get committed to source control. And I can actually fill in that consumer key and secret that the Twitter website sent me. So now, to ensure that I key that in and none of our friends see it, I'm going to flip over here to the two of us while I
There we
copy
go.
and paste those values in because I'm paranoid and I've already messed that up once during this stream because everybody saw the first values that I keyed in. So I've got them keyed into my secrets JSON. I closed the file. Ryan can see it, but I'm
Right.
closing that, and now we'll go back to our code. So it's not here, but it's in those values inside my secrets JSON file.
And then if somebody were to clone this, Jeff, they would just create their own secrets file. Is that the way it works?
You got it.
Okay.
Or right, or I could copy my secrets JSON file and hand it to them using whatever other mechanism that our
Ah,
team uses to collaborate.
that's
The
great.
the recommended way that folks say you should use this, and it's not bad at all, is use a Azure Key Vault. So I can
Yes.
put those settings in Azure Key Vault, and all I have to do is tell my ASP.NET Core application, here's the Key Vault to use, and it'll automatically find those keys and insert them.
And
Uh,
Cryptex, I think that's how you say his name,
yeah.
had a really good idea. He said that he was looking, he zoomed into my glasses and then looked at the reflection in order to
Oh,
grab the keys. Well played, I think.
that's some next level Hollywood movie hacking there.
Enhance.
Absolutely.
Zoom and enhance.
Is there a Discord for newbie people to ask questions or doubts about .NET Core development?
Hmm.
There is a Discord. If you look on the Twitch channel, you can find a Discord. That's an open chat server that folks can join. You'll find me hanging out there all the time. But we answer those questions right here on the show. There are no bad questions here, Ryan. There's only bad answers from me.
That's right.
So feel free to ask whatever questions you have about .NET Core, questions about Azure. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And of course, the folks in the chat room are, very eager to help out other folks. We're being simulcast right now on the Visual Studio channel. There's folks over there that are checking out, seeing what's going on, and they're happy to help out as well. And there's all kinds of other Twitch streamers that may see what's going on here and help answer some questions. So please, always feel free to answer questions. Nobody should be intimidated asking questions here, unless their last name is Lowdermilk.
There you go.
All right. So I've got my authorization baked in here, and I can kind of force people to be logged in with Twitter, but you can still create an account. So let me just start this application so we can see what it looks like. And we should get the default templates, and we'll start getting rid of that stuff and hooking up to the Twitter API here in just a second. How are we doing on time? Fantastic. We got an hour to go. We can do this. It can be done.
You can do this. I'm confident. I'm just here for the ride.
Sure. For people with questions, this is basically you standing in a virtual room with over 1,000 other C# and .NET people. Asking questions is good. Ryan, we actually have some rules around the chat room. There's no bullying, there's no racism, sexism, any of that stuff. No isms.
Yeah.
We want to encourage folks to join us and ask questions and learn. Redirect page from your site to the register page of Twitter. That's a little bit further down. Not a concern yet. If I click login, I get the Twitter button automatically appears for me now because I've got my configuration available. So I'm going to click the Twitter button to log in. And we ran into this before, didn't we, team? Where it's coming to a page. Oh, my URL right now is 5001. And we had set in the Twitter website 8081 was the port number. I'm going to change that. I'm going to just, instead of going and changing my port, I'm going to change it here. 5001 is the default that ASP.NET Core gives you.
I'll be shocked if that works, by the way. That'll be very cool if it does.
There we go. Twitter. Oh, it didn't work. What did I do? Control F5. Oh, man. All right, let me think. Let's think. So this should be using this. The callback URL is 127.0.0.5001, which should be... Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go there. Change this to 127.0.0.1. Aha. Add the exception. Confirm. All right. Now if I click login, Twitter.
Nice. Jeff Fritz, everybody. Jeff Fritz.
That's me. I'm doing the thing. Woo! Oh, and you couldn't hear that. I had the Ric Flair woo.
That's okay. You know, I'm actually happy that you actually do it. You tell me what the sound was. I like it better that way, actually. Yeah.
All right. So this is Entity Framework. This is our database interaction, our database framework that we use in ASP.NET Core. Coming up, telling me, you know what, you need to actually create the database location for this. I'm going to key in my email. Of course, it is jeff@jeffreyfritz.com. I know people who do me at whatever their domain name is, and that just feels That feels very egotistical. Me at RyanLowdermilk.com. That's like,
Sure.
that isn't your email address, is it?
No, it's
Okay.
not. No, it's not, but that's funny.
Okay. Yeah, right. It's like, and then when you tell someone your email address, yes, my email address is
Right,
me at
right.
jeffreyfritz.com.
Yeah,
Could you
it's fun.
imagine me at google.com?
My good friend, and Jeff Blankenberg
Sure
works
do.
over at Amazon. He does
Yep.
Alexa development. He's got something really cool where he's got his own domain, but it's just a wild card. So he can be at like a conference and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, my email is I don't know, whatever, build 2019." And then that way it files through and he kind of knows where he met the person or
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, it's kind of cool.
Okay. I got to remember that. That's a neat trick.
Yeah, it is neat.
All right. So I now have a website that I can log in with Twitter, and I can effectively do stuff at this point. I'm going to get rid of the register button because I don't want folks to register. I just want you to log in, and I don't want you to try to register as a new user. So I'm going to remove this stuff over here as well. So I really cut out all this other stuff. So I get down to just the one page that I want, that I don't even really want to have a user interface that's just going to go and do the work for us. So I'm going to clean up a little bit of this user interface here so that we don't end up inadvertently triggering some of the other things here. So
Okay.
I need to add a couple more scaffolded things here for the identity. I want to add the login page, not login. I don't have a recovery code for this, but
This is the
it's
first time I've seen this page. I like it. This is really cool.
which page? This one?
This right here, yeah, this is the first time I've seen that you can actually just grab the stuff you only want.
Right. Otherwise, it uses the default stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm going to take register. I need to make sure I point to this. I need to take. I think that was it. I think I want external login, and let's take login also. I think those are the ones I want.
So this will actually then spit out the
Yeah, so this drops those files right here inside
brilliant,
Solution Explorer, so I
brilliant.
can jump in and start hacking away at them. So here's the form for. Is this the form for login? No, but here's the register link. I want to get rid of the register link. So
So
folks,
Jeff, if you wanted to go back to the default, do you just nuke that page and then it kicks into the defaults again?
you
Somebody's
got it.
asking in the chat
Yep,
room.
absolutely.
Okay.
So let me modify the external login here. I'll get rid of the register button. And this is the whole register. Oh, no. This is the confirmation. We're good there. This is good. That one's fine. So here's the register page, right? To kind of prove out, who was it who asked that?
I couldn't see his name. That's why I said somebody. I think it's Andre, but it's hard
Andre.
to see because of the coloring.
No problem. So here's what I'll do to show that. I'm going to just delete this content. Ryan was here. All right.
Nice, in all caps. I
All
love
caps, of course. That's the way we fly here. Tavern of Gwenti. Thank you for the follow. And Shanzos. Okay. Cool. If I click to the register page, there's
There it
Ryan was
is.
here.
Yeah.
But if I just delete the register page, right? Or you know what? Let's just rename it. Nah, I'll delete it. That's easier. Goodbye. And then
Brilliant.
restart.
Your chat room is very funny, I must say. They're
Oh,
they're very good. Yeah, they got good sense of humor.
I'll click register, and now I get the register page back. So it
That's
shows
brilliant.
you
Okay.
the default by default.
Yeah.
It's when you override it that it disappears here. So I'm going to remove the register link. I'll leave the register page there, but you see the register link in the
Yeah.
login page is already gone. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm actually going to remove everything else except for the home page, really. All right, so let's go back. Where is it? Pages, shared. Here's the login partial. I'm going to get rid of register. I'm going to, let's see here. That's fine. And the logout, I don't really even need a logout link. So we'll get rid of that. And I'm going to go to the layout and get rid of about and contact. And I think that's everything we want to do here. A Fritz and Friends and Ryan Lowdermilk production.
Nice.
No warranties.
Hey, Veronica.
Just fun stuff. There we go. All right. Hey, Code for Veronica. Good to see you. I keep reaching back for my coffee, and I finished my coffee.
Yeah.
So I got my own coffee mug made. Look at that.
Let me see it.
Check that out. Works on my machine.
Hey, where did you get the caricature done? Jeff Blankenberg's got that as well. That looks really cool. Where'd you get that done?
So Jeff Blankenberg, great name, thank you. We both spoke at an event called Stir Trek in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And they had, for their speakers one year, they had caricatures made up.
Oh,
And we
that's
were all
cool.
given appropriate licenses to reuse those caricatures. And that's
That's brilliant.
one of our friends here on stream put it inside the Works on My Machine logo and graciously contributed that back.
Very cool.
If folks want that, I have this the mug. There's also phone cases, laptop decals. There's a link on the wall in the Twitch on the Twitch channel for folks to click through to Redbubble, and you can buy those cups and whatever from there. So
Boom. There you go.
I ran a contest last month. This month, July. It's still July. I posted a picture of me drinking from the mug when I first received it, but I was on my green screen background, perfect for photoshopping.
Yeah.
And somebody clipped out the green and put the dinosaur chasing the car from Jurassic Park behind me.
Well played.
Yeah. So here's the homepage. It doesn't do anything yet. I'm going to literally yank everything out of here, and I'm going to put an authorize on this to force you to be logged in order to use this. I also think I'm going to go into the login page here, and I'm going to remove the email and password. So the only thing you can do is click Twitter to log in.
Yeah.
So let me do that on the login page. So I'm going to completely remove this form right here because we don't need it. And actually, we don't need that whole section. I don't even need to do the offset here. I can just make this 12 wide. That's a bootstrap thing, and there's your external logins. That should be everything from there. I'm not going to tinker with this any further. I'm going to go back over to the home page now. I'm deleting the about, the contact page. So index is our home page. And let's get rid of all of this nonsense in the middle, because it is nonsense. We have a page model in ASP.NET Core when we use these structures called Razor pages. And the page model is where we can do the actual business, the actual work for this, right? Any of that server-side work that we need to do. I'm going to decorate this with an authorize attribute. So this is basically saying you need to be logged in to access this page. So if you try to access it and you're not logged in, you're going to get thrown out. You're going to get a page that says not authorized. So let's start up here and make sure that we get pushed into that login capability. All right, so
Perfect.
Right, I'm trying to get to the home page and it forces me to log in, and I'm going to localhost it here. This should be 127.0.0.1, and now I can click Twitter, redirecting me back, and I get the blank homepage. Good.
Love
Now
it.
let's start doing the work for this, right? Let's actually figure out from here the links that we're attaching. That's our sample we're not using. We're going to end up going to some URL.com and jam on the Twitter account that we want to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to request that. I'm going to bind to that. We should probably do something like ID equals. Craigasm? What's with the... What? Update project start address for future runs. Great point from Janos there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that. I'm going to save this. Go back and stop. If I look at the startup for this application, so I'm going to right click, properties, debug. So here it is. App URL is localhost, and I'm going to change where the browser is going to HTTPS 127.0.0.1.5001. So that as Janos is suggesting, it jumps right to the appropriate page. And we don't end up with that localhost back and forth. And there it is. And I'm already logged in with Twitter, so it's good there. And I can't log out. I'm in. I shouldn't be able to manage my account. I can remove all this stuff. I can actually change this from being a link. Probably be the easiest thing to do. Login partial. Right, I don't want that to be a link. Okay, and we'll remove all that other content later because those are default things. So the actual work we want to do is back here in index. Now there's two methods that you can put in here. Actually, more than that. But by convention, you have on get and on post. So when people click that link inside of Twitter, we're going to have a get that happens here, and we're going to receive that ID we want to mine for.
Yep.
So we're going to pull this. Actually, I don't think I need to put a hint on that. So what I should be able to do, just to make sure that we have this captured properly, Twitter ID. So this is a property on the page. So I will say Twitter ID equals ID. Thank you. And on the page, mining friends of Twitter ID at model.twitterid. Now we should see that pop up with... Now we didn't pass anything in, so it may actually crap out here. Or give us no entry there. Mining friends of Twitter ID, and there's nothing there. And if I type C# Fritz, it still didn't capture it because I actually need that to be ID equals. There it is.
Okay.
Good. So we've got that so far. So so at this point, I'm completely out of the browser, and now I'm all in ASP.NET Core.
Yep.
So let's start mining and working with the Twitter account to go get this data. Now, I'm going to go back to the Twitter documentation and look at the docs, particularly the API reference, because what we're going to do is we're going to reach into an account and get their friends. So we're going to say, well, we want to create and manage lists, but that's not... Where is it?
Perhaps we get the list of people first and just put that into an array, as you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Before we worry about creating the list and all that jazz.
Sure. So let's see. No, I want to get the friends, they call them.
So the chat room feels strongly that we should be... it says you really need to scaffold those pages and nullify them, as people can still type the URLs manually.
They're right. Yeah. We'll absolutely get that. I want to make sure that we... Yeah, TBD. We've got about 40 minutes left here. I want to make sure that we get this to actually do its thing.
Do it.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
So...
Sprint to the end.
So here's the URL to go to apitwitter.com 1.1 friends list.json. And we can pass in a couple different parameters. A cursor causes the results to be broken into pages. If no cursor is provided, value of -1 is assumed, which is just the first page. Number of users to return per page up to a maximum of 200. Well, we want to load everybody.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So if I say give me 200, I would have to make a list can only hold 1,000 a
Twitter
thousand
people.
accounts. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Tweeps. Tweeps?
Yeah.
Do people still
And
use
I think,
tweeps?
and I wouldn't want to have a list that's larger than 1,000, to be honest.
Oh,
Like,
I think that's very fair.
yeah.
Quick mention, found out today about bridge.net, C# to JavaScript. That's cool. So what we're working on Mine 987 is we're going to use the Twitter APIs to fetch all the friends of an account, right? Everybody that this account that we're questioning follows, and we're going to create a private list that is those followers. That way we can kind of we can see the world as other people see it.
Yeah.
And the first test that we're going to do, because I think it's going to be really easy, because he doesn't have a lot of folks that he follows, is I'll try and create a private list of Ryan's followers, because there's only
Yeah.
20 some followers.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not that impact of, you know what, let's create the Scott Hanselman list that's thousands.
Correct.
So this is the API that we're going to use. We can only make 15 requests in a 15-minute window,
Interesting. Okay.
which if we're requesting 200 at a time, that's not bad. That's only 5 requests, and we're going to do those real quick, but we can only make 3 lists before we run out.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not terrible, but to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Should be
So
fine.
this is the API we're going to. So I'm going to copy that, go back over here to Visual Studio, and inside of here, I would normally be receiving an HTTP client. Right, so we're going to make an HTTP request here. We need that client. I'm realizing that I'm a little dark here. Let's put some light on me. There we go. And we usually pass that HTTP client around, and I'm blanking on how to do this. String is null or white space, please. Wow.
We've ran into the pedantic web here.
Wow.
It's good.
All right, fine. If string is null or empty, look, Ryan, there's a reason that I described the folks that are in our chat room. There are pair programmers. This is pair
Yeah.
programming with the internet.
Absolutely.
They're
This
keeping
is
us on our
awesome.
toes. They're making sure we don't do things that are stupid. Too late. I think I want to do a redirect. Return, redirect. Because I want to route you to like a page not found, right? I want to redirect to to an error page. I'll just send them to error for right now, because I'm blanking on exactly what I want to do there. Create an HTTP client with the parameters and startup. There we go. Our friend Smab from the UK has it right on the money. Thank you for the follow, Tanzoof. So you never had to do this follower thing and interact with the chat room quite like this when you're running a podcast, do you?
Well, we did live, so yeah, we did have to interact with them, but it's good. I like this. Like you said, they're giving us tips along the way, which is extremely helpful.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I'm going to add HTTP client, and we will call this, let's call this Twitter API. And yeah, that's fine. And then I'm going to configure this. Right, so config. The base address that we're going to is, I'm going to go to all the way through 1.1. So that when we make our new requests, all we have to do is put on the parts of the URL that are appropriate for us. We're also going to need, oh my gosh, kill RRV. Thank you for the follow. So I don't have it up on this scene, but I've been working through this Rainbow Beard challenge. So it took me about 8 months, but we made it to 3,000 followers. And the challenge that I've put out there is, well, I don't think we can get to 5,000 as quickly. And but folks said, absolutely, we'll be able to get you there quickly. And in fact, it'd be really cool if you dyed your beard rainbow. So if we get to 5,000 before Halloween, October 20th is the deadline I set, I'll dye my beard rainbow for that
Wow.
week's shows.
I like it.
It's a little crazy, a
Oh, it's
little,
more than just a little crazy,
dude.
but I
I'm
like it.
giving a keynote the week after in Vegas at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, and I think you just go right into that
Just
with
go
a
right
rainbow.
into
I mean,
that.
yeah, you're in Vegas. I mean, at that point, does anybody care? No,
No,
I think you go for it.
absolutely. Um, I was in Vegas last year for the Dev Intersection conference, and it was the same week as as Halloween. So I was literally in town in the midst of. I mean, Vegas is always crazy to start with,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
and I was there for Halloween. Like,
Oh my word, I've never been to Vegas in Halloween. Can't imagine. Were the people actually dressed up
yes,
on the strip?
oh yes.
Oh, that's
Well,
weird.
dressed up is a bit of an overstatement for Vegas, isn't
Yeah, usually
it?
goes in the other direction, I guess, with Vegas.
um, John Dre Loon, let me know if I'm pronouncing that. With me putting your name on the Twitch EDU community, that'll boost the follower count amount up. Well, thank you.
There you
So
go.
there's a bunch of different communities here on Twitch, and I'm slowly becoming more and more ingrained in the communities. So I'm thrilled to be part of the Twitch EDU community. I kind of position myself here as a bit of a Bill Nye for computing, software
There you go.
development.
I like it.
So I have my client. So I need to do something like I'm going to end up doing something like client get async, and then I'm going to my URI that I'm requesting is friends list JSON, so I can get that list of friends, but I need to pass in those other arguments about that friend list, and it's going to be the user ID, which is um, user ID equals, and then we're going to pass in the ID that was requested. We need to pump up that count to 200. Count equals 200. I don't need statuses, so I'm going to say skip status equals 1. Yeah. And skip underscore status equals 1. What else? Include user entities. I don't need that either. So by default, right? Default value is true. I don't care about it. I just want
It's
the.
optional.
Yeah, so let's say include user entities equals false. Um, I think that's it. Okay. So that should. Let's do this as a get string async. Friends equals that. And I'm going to do an await on this because I'm doing it asynchronously. So I'm going to then task. We'll make this async. Everything gets cleared out there. Let's see if this works. We'll see if we get an error. We'll see what we get. Count should be config parameter. I want to go get all of them. Unable to resolve HTTP client. I have my injection configured wrong. I don't think I want a name on it.
Inject the HTTP client factory.
No, the
He says what the chat room's thinking.
no, that's not it.
Sorry, my 987.
No, no.
The interface for HTTP client factory.
I want to be able to do the configuration here, but I need to give it a name in order to do that. Oh, I see. If we receive HTTP client factory, then we can say client dot. Oh, come on. Why is that unhappy? Cannot be used as parameters. Yeah, I don't want to inject the factory. I'm blanking here on, and so here's the cool thing, because I've done this in other projects. I'm going to
There you
refer
go.
to another project that we wrote this in.
And this is really how coding is done.
Oh my gosh, you've done this once. Go find it somewhere else, or look it
Yeah.
up in the documentation.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right, if this was a full normal presentation I was giving in front of a customer or something, I
Oh,
would
that's
have this all
different. Yeah.
scripted out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where'd it go?
You're not Stack Overflowing in the front of a partner, right?
No,
Obviously.
no. But in front of our friends here on Twitch, where we're making up a lot of what we're trying to figure out here on the fly, we're trying to learn and develop all together. We'll get there.
So does I don't know how you say that name, Smabuck?
SMAB, yes.
Smab. There you
HTTP
go.
client factory, create client after injecting the factory.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but it's not letting me inject the factory because it's a static type.
If you inject the HTTP client to a singleton, you can get issues with DNS entry changes. Do not matter for these people.
There we go. I need to do it as an iHTTP, and then
Boom.
and the name is Twitter API.
Well done, Smab.
Thanks so much. Very helpful. Now if I try it again, let's see if we get any creative errors.
There's a reason why Smab's got that little sword next to him, clearly.
Yeah, we made him a moderator.
More than one reason.
Absolutely. All right, now I'm getting a 404 not found when it's trying to go to /friend/list. I think I don't need the slash. I think I just want like that. It's already injected. Just receive it. Yep. Here we go. Still a 404. Now it's
Do we
not
need
telling me.
the actual domain in front of all that, or is it already? Do we already?
Great question. Over here in the startup, when I did the configuration,
Brilliant.
I
Okay.
said the base address.
Got
So
it. Yeah, okay.
we're good. I want to look at the full error here. Sending HTTP request, API twitter.com, friends, list JSON, and it's giving me a not found. Oh, because ID has nothing on it.
Brilliant. Yep. Okay.
So let's go back to the page, and I'm going to $ID equals Ryan Lowdermilk.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still getting 404 not found. Let's see what it requested. So user ID equals Ryan Lowdermilk, count, blah, 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 and I'm getting a 404 not found, which is weird because...
So what happens if you... No, I was just going to say,
Yeah, what happens if we just go there?
Yeah.
That page does not exist. Oh, wait a sec. Look at that. It dropped the version number. Even though we set up the base to have the 1.1 here.
Okay.
It dropped that. So somewhere we're not including and calculating that properly.
Crypt thinks it's user dash ID and not underscore.
No. All right, I'm in the right place now because now I'm getting actual error codes coming back.
Okay.
So let's close this. If I put a slash there, let's make sure that works. I'm going to go back to my project properties and make sure that that URL that we're requesting is ID Ryan Lowdermilk for testing. We won't, right? That won't be in there when we deploy.
Yeah.
And this loads, goes to the page. Okay, now I'm getting that 400 because it's going to a right. So API twitter.com, 11, friends list, user Ryan Lowdermilk, count. All right, so now I'm getting a bad request, and when we look at that content, It's that 404. 404 says anything in the 400 series says, "Hey browser, hey visitor to our website, you made a mistake." A 500 series says we the server made a mistake. So this
Yeah.
is saying bad authentication data, which means I need to pass authentication information along the way. That OAuth information. Cryptrix founded it at the same time I did. So we need to pass in the authentication information. So I'm going to go down. Now, the APIs that we're going to pass in for security, we need to pass in the OAuth information. Now, we're already logged in and we're authenticated to our application. So we have an access token. It is there. So we should be able to reach in and find it. And then we need to include that token when we make a request. Right? When we authorize the request, we need to add.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let's see, where is it? Here it is. The OAuth customer key, the nonce, the signature method, the timestamp, the token, the OAuth version. These keys under authorization. Now, that's not my OAuth consumer key. But the nonce is a unique token your application should generate for each request. Twitter will use this value to determine whether a request has been submitted multiple times. The value was generated by a base 64 encoding 32 bytes of random data. So literally what I'll do is I'll create a GUID and say base 64 encode this. That's easy to do. The signature generated by running all the other request parameters and 2 secret values through a signing algorithm. So I may not want to go through doing all of this because writing all of that code right now, it's going to take a little bit of time. There are some folks that have written libraries that are pretty good for working with the Twitter API, and it's already got all this stuff baked into it. And I started looking at the old TweetSharp project.
Yeah.
Now, TweetSharp hasn't been updated for 5 years, which means
It's that good, right, Jeff?
it's
It just doesn't.
that good.
Yeah.
So we can try taking a look at this and using this because .NET Core will take its best shot at bringing in my 987. You're right. This is not .NET Standard, but .NET Core will give it the old college try to use it. So I'm going to reference TweetSharp 231, and I'm just going to steal this. It's TweetSharp 231. I'll just come back over here to the NuGet package manager and add it. And I love the NuGet package manager user interface. Great guy that led the team that built that. I couldn't
Who
tell
is
you his
the
name.
guy? I was just going to ask you who the guy was.
Me.
I figured it was. Just wanted to make sure that we were all clear on that you were
Absolutely.
referencing yourself.
Is it better than Chocolatey? So much better than NPM. See that? Tweet Envy. What's Tweet Envy? Is that one that I should be looking at?
I don't know. I've never heard of that. Let's
Tweet
Google.
INVI. What do we got? Tweet Envy compiled for .NET 4.7. Depends on autofac. I don't want to use autofac.
Perhaps maybe people are using
Tweet
this with
Envy API relies on .NET Standard 1.4, but depends on autofac, systemnet, HTTP. Well, let's try that one. This one might be good. Yeah. Go ahead. All right, so let's take a look at that project URL and see what we need to do to configure this. Yeah. Show me your documentation. Take me to your leader. Basics. Before you start, please read. I'm not reading. Configure your credentials. Set user credentials. Consumer user, consumer secret, access token, access user secret. Where do I get those? because they're coming in off of the user. Access token, access user secret. You can get more information under authentication. Right, this is how we write code. We barely read. New
Yeah,
Twitter
this is how it's done
credentials.
right here. This is the ability to learn quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Request Twitter to provide a unique URL that enables a user to authenticate. No. We've already done the URL redirect. It's already got that.
Oh wow, it wanted to handle that for us, huh?
Well, it gives us the option, it looks like. Right, I've already got the credentials. I've already received them.
Yeah. There is a flow though that it will send stuff back to us, right?
Yeah,
Perhaps. And
look,
then
there it
just
is.
trying
This
to
looks
do.
like it, right?
Yeah.
Redirect.com, OAuth token equals OAuth verifier authorization ID. So
Right.
the token, verifier, and authorization ID. Please do not use any of these parameters in your callback URL. Yeah, okay. If you cannot store... Right, so I need to grab one of these. Abstract the registration and resolve from the lock. From the location. Da, 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 da. A key that they store in these two. Yeah, which ones are they? So the token feels like the key. Is the verifier the secret?
Mm. Yeah, there's definitely an exchange here.
Yeah, right. And if this is easy enough to
Ooh, can you scroll
grab,
down real fast? Can you scroll down real fast? Did
sure.
you see that about localhost?
You can encounter issues if you attempt to use localhost. If you encounter
I just wanted to point that out
there we go. All right,
in
rookie
case,
flag.
yeah, in case somebody.
Um, or is authorization ID? Um, authorization key from database. Authorization secret from database. If you cannot store the iAuthentication context, you'll need to store the authentication context dot token. What am I missing? Because we're already logged in. It's already got this from the two-factor redirect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do already have. Let me close that. Right at the point that these. What other Twitter options do we have here? Can we capture anything else? Consumer key, consumer secret. We've already got those configured. Forward sign in. If set, this specifies the target scheme. No. Retrieve user save tokens. Aha. Access and refresh tokens should be
After a
stored.
successful off, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we do want to save the tokens because then we can use the authentication properties to go fetch. Let's try that. Right, is save tokens a boolean? Yeah. All right. So let's F1 and see if we can find. All right. So authentication properties. Make sure we know how to get these out of here. Expires items. Okay, so let's reach into this thing and see if we can pull out what those values are when we're logged in. So I am going to go back to here. Dot authentication properties. Dot. So how do we get those? Like, how do I use this thing?
Yeah. That was the part that was a bit unclear to me.
Stored in the authentication properties after. Yeah, how do I use authentication properties? Where do I get them? Is it like user dot?
It was saying something about a cookie. I don't know if that actually.
Authentication type. So that's the identity. What else?
Does it actually write those out to that?
Yeah, let's. Can you capture them on the callback page if you scaffold it? Auth props has an indexer. Great. How do I get into the authentication properties? Yeah. Right. How do I? It has an items. How do I get authentication properties? So I'm in the API docs.
Can we break point it? The chat room is saying, can we break point it? But I don't even think we get a. Is there anything for us to break point at this point? Because we don't. I don't even know if we get anything back. Yeah.
So we would need to scaffold those pages. I don't
To
mind
do.
scaffolding. Let's add new scaffolded item identity. And we are looking for, there's two-factor authentication. That's the manage of it. Login with 2FA, I believe, is the page we're looking for. I need to set that, and now I can add. Yeah, there's build errors because I have these couple lines in here. Scaffolding wants to be able to build things before it'll actually. Where'd it go? Scaffolded item, identity, not disable, login. This one. Or just hook into Twitter options.events with a callback. Is there a callback on that? Here. Yeah, I don't see an events here that we can hook into. Oh, events. What do we have? Creating ticket, on creating tickets, on ticket received. What's on ticket received? This is a
Event.
task. Ticket received context. And why am I not getting... Cool. So I've got a new func. Does not constrain... yeah. Oh. So we should probably do something like this. And then we can say... Oh, come on. This is a func, right? So it's... I don't want a plus equals. I just want to do an equals. There we go. Principal, properties, response, result, scheme. I don't see the values right here coming in on the ticket received context. Yeah, these are all authorization ones. This isn't specific to Twitter, so I can grab those properties. It is just a delegate, yeah. So, but I do see what they're saying about, let's check in and breakpoint on these things. What do we got here? Yeah. Return task dots completed. And then that's the end of that. Don't you? Oh. I'll put a breakpoint here so we can see what it actually has in it. Get token with authentic. I don't know how to get the authentication properties. That's my problem. All right. I need to actually log out of this. Oh, you know what? Just crush the cookies. Memory. No, not memory. Storage, that's what it is. Cookies. Goodbye. Delete all. Twitter. Bang. All right, what do we have? I love the debugger here in Visual Studio because I can really look at what's coming in. So I've got my return URL, but I can look in the request. I can also look in the principal identities. There's my claim identity, Twitter, and there's 4 claims. The name, the user ID, and the screen name. Well, I don't care about that stuff. I need the actual tokens. So it's not on the identity. There's the claims again. I don't need that. So it's not on the principal. What's on the... Oh, Twitter options. No. Where is it? State cookie? Twitter state. It's not showing me the value on that. State data format. I don't care. Twitter state. And then I'm back into Twitter options on that loop. And I realize it just showed the keys. Rats.
Yeah, you can always go back and delete, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can regenerate those.
Yeah.
No, so I don't see those values here. But that authentication properties object looks like where it's going to end up. Right, I should be able to grab those, but how do I access that thing? Claims, authentication manager, sign in, new authentication properties. So can I go through authentication manager and ask for the authentication properties? Wouldn't you get them through the user manager? Let's take a look. So I'm going to remove this. Go back over to login. Close all but this. So if I have a user manager, I'm going to need to receive that. User manager. And it's, I don't have a user, it's just user manager. Receive one of these. Let's see. Create one of these things. Doesn't like that. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Where is it? Data. It's just a base user. I'm not actually doing anything with it. I think it's identity user. Yep. So now if I use user manager, get authentication token for the login provider, returns an authentication token for a user. Get authenticator key. That's the... No, that's not what I want. But the authentication token... That's still not getting me into my authentication properties. Right, if I do get user... I've already got the user. That's sitting here under the user property. Crumbs. Application user, I think. Application, no. Application user was what it was in ASP.NET, not ASP.NET Core. How do I get application authentication properties? Authentication manager. How do we get it? Because we just need that information and then we're good. And we're right up against time. No. Don't see it. I mean, it tells us here's the class, but how do we load that thing? Maybe I'm thinking too simply on this. Get Twitter application tokens from identity? That's how to generate... No, that's on the Twitter website. Obtaining Twitter access tokens with ASP.NET Identity. Ooh. This is really old.
That sounds promising, though.
It does. Use external sign-in cookie.
At least the flow, if nothing else.
Yeah, so this is from the guy who built Link to Twitter.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Saving Twitter credentials. External login callback. Store Twitter credentials. So it does that. Come on, where is it? Store Twitter credentials.
Login confirmation.
Oh, authentication manager. Get external identity. Stop. Get external identity async. Okay, so that's getting the claims identity. Get claims async for the user ID. Find first. Okay, so the access token is on the identity as a... I didn't think it was there. All right, so let's do this. Let's just say var user equals user, so that I can... That's not how you spell user. So I can F9 that and take a look. What did we do here? I don't need the user manager anymore. Now that we figured out we don't need it. How fast can Jeff type? Let's see. Because once we have the user, looping through these things should be pretty quick.
Right.
Redirecting back. All right. So now if I go over user, there's the principal. Here's my identities. I can reach into identity. 4 claims. And name identifier, name, security stamp. I bet you that's it. I bet you that's my applicant, right? When I looked at... Going back... Right, so I don't want all that goo. And when I was using here, the access token and the access token secret, is that... come on. Results. Is that the access token and is that the secret?
Yeah, I guess one way you could know is just to go out to a browser and hit it, right? And see if it comes back in DevTools or whatnot.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Yeah, that's definitely... Or is... Actually, that looks like the ASP.NET ID in my database.
So what happens on this show when it reaches time and you're not finished? What do you do?
So what we do typically is we'll save the source code where it is. We'll put it out there in GitHub, save it off, and we'll come back to it another time on the next show, and we'll do a little bit more work on it, try and figure things out. Maybe some folks in the chat room have some ideas, have some experience. They'll send over a pull request, and we'll review and figure out, what it is that we can do to correct this.
That's brilliant.
So I think that's what we'll start to do right now is set up that GitHub repository so that we can persist what we're working on. Because we're like right there,
This is what I liked about this episode is, and I imagine this is common with all of your episodes, is that you're right, you're almost at the corner. You're almost going to turn the corner. What's around the corner?
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
So I'm just going to call this Twitter friends list.
There you go.
A service and browser plugin to generate friends lists. No, to generate a list of Twitter accounts from the friends list of another Twitter account. That's not confusing. Yes, initialize with a README. I'm going to use the Visual Studio template. Yes, we want a license. We'll make it Apache. No, MIT. Everything's MIT. All right. So there's this. I'm going to grab that account, go up one, git init. So now I have a repository here. I'm going to git remote add origin, that location. I'm going to create a folder. Yeah. And we'll call this GreaseMonkey. And I'm going to add that folder here as well inside of Visual Studio so it's easy for me to find. Okay. All right. Notepad, and we'll call this script.user.js because they all have to have user.
Right.
And I'm just going to copy out what we wrote here. There is an export function. It exports it as a zip file, and I don't want a zip file.
No.
That's not where I want to be. I thought...
I think you might have said no.
You're right. Do that again. Yes. All right. Good catch. Thank you.
No problem.
More Ric Flair for you.
Right at the very end, I added value. Right at the very end.
You could be holding the mic for me and wearing a red collared shirt.
That's right. That would have been completely appropriate.
All right, I'm going to go up one. I'm going to add the files. What?
Is it running right now?
You know what? I think it is. No, it's not running. It's not running. Why does it think it is? Because it should just work. And it should ignore the .vs. Oh, wait. Let me pull first. Yep. That. Oh, come on. Let's add GreaseMonkey to start. First commit. All right. Now we'll do git pull. I thought does not exist. What do you mean it? Oh. Got to replace the token. All right. Now git pull. Fine. Do it. Thank you. Did I break it? I may have. Yeah, I lost all the stuff that I had up there for the git ignore and the license. Ah, Jeff. You did that wrong.
Well, at least we have it recorded so that people know the way not to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's important to have it on the internet.
Yeah, I definitely created a conflict there and just messed that up completely.
I like that the chat room though doesn't hold back and
I know. They're laying into me already. I'm like, thanks, team. Thanks a lot.
That's awesome.
Fine. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to nuke this repository. Because I can and just rebuild it. Because it's faster for me to do that.
Sure.
Type the name of the repository to confirm. Yes, that's my password. You're going to make me log in with two-factor, aren't you, you turkey? No. Good. New repository. This. doing the Twitter thing, and I'll change that later. Yes, give me... See, look, we were all formal and giving it a good name before. Now it's like, oh, screw it. Just create the thing. Do it.
That's right. Yeah, sure.
All right, copy that. All right. Actually, it should still have it. Let me do get pull now. On refusing to merge. And let me do get pull force. It still doesn't want to do it. Gosh, I don't want to... I'm just going to remove the Git folder and start over. Because I'm annoyed and don't really care. All right, I'm going to git pull this. No. Git remote add that. I forgot to put origin. Origin. Git pull origin master. There we go. Now I can start adding stuff. And commit. Added first set of work with Ryan. Git push. Yep. I've done this a few times.
I was just gonna say, your Git Kung Fu is pretty solid.
Where is TFS when you need it? No. At least you didn't delete a whole Amazon data warehouse.
Yeah.
Ooh. Like
Yeah.
East US 2, is that what it's called? Or right, the Northern Virginia is the one they keep having a problem with? They haven't in a while. Kudos to them. But all right, so we've got our code out here. We kind of know where we want to go. I'm going to create a couple issues here just to remember where we were.
Sure.
So, need to grab OAuth user and secret tokens at login. Need this so we can make follow-up requests to Twitter. And I'm going to include some links to the documentation. So I don't want to do the authorization. But the authentication, actually, if we're using, whose library was it? Where'd that library go we're using? Not TweetSharp.
Right.
Not linked to Twitter.
Tweet Envy or Tweet INVI or whatever it was called.
Yeah. I don't see it.
I don't. Actually, no, you did bring up the docs for that.
Yeah, I did. And I think I may have closed
Oh,
that.
wait, was that back there?
No.
I think you might have. No, it wasn't that one.
No.
I think you actually had it there for a second.
Was it Tweet NVI?
Is it the next tab?
You know what? I can look in the project and actually see what it was we added.
Yeah.
Stop it. This one.
Yeah, there you go.
Project sites. And I'm going to reference that.
There you go.
All right. So then once we can know how to do that authentication, we might actually be able to do everything through this library to build and make that happen.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the flow is already worked out.
Yeah. So let's create one more new issue. Get friends lists. List for user. And last one is add create private list. And then add friends to list.
Yeah.
And then here we go. Watch this. Project management at its best. Projects, create a project. And this is a minimum viable product, template, basic Kanban. And I'm just going to get rid of these notes because we know how to do this. All right, so we need to do this, which is kind of in progress. Gets friends list for the user, create the private list, add friends to list. That's all we have left to do, and this will be running.
Brilliant.
And then publish, of course. But so I think that's an okay place for us to stop today. I think we can pick up on this on Thursday, and we'll be able to crank through this pretty quick. Oh gosh, Andre has an example that'll do this. I'm gonna grab that and open this and just paste that in. Does that get us exactly what we need? Example in. So that has an access token and an access token secret that have been generated. I need to grab them from a user. So we're not quite there, but I'm gonna keep that just to make sure. But that's all the time we have today, because I know, Ryan, you got stuff you got to do. I've got stuff I've got to get around to.
Absolutely.
We'd only allocated about 2 hours for the show here today.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play that intro music. Let that run in the background. Thanks so much for joining me. I think we're in a good place here to get your little feature built so that we can add that into GreaseMonkey and be able to quickly just create lists from people once we publish our app. So thanks so much. We'll come back and check this out again on Thursday and see if we can connect the dots on that last piece and publish this. It'll only be me coming back that time. Actually, no. Thursday we have Benjamin Howarth joining us. I'm sorry. We'll do this on Friday. That's what we'll do. We'll work on this on Friday and see if we can have something built for the weekend. So thank you everybody in the chat room for joining us. I'll archive this video. It'll be over on YouTube a little bit later today. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And all the viewers, we'll see you next time. Take care.